Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4. We have finally experienced a tantalizing taste, a marvelous morsel, if you will, of this game that we have waited 10 endless, confusing, and agonizing years for. The demo for Pikmin 4 is now available on the Nintendo eShop, and I highly recommend that you check it out. I was surprised by how generous of a demo it is. It's a pretty meaty demo with 3 to 5 hours of Pikmin goodness. So, go do yourself a favor and download it. And while you wait for it to download, you can listen to me stating my thoughts and opinions on the demo. So, let's dive into things. In general, it seems that Pikmin 4 simplifies and streamlines the Pikmin formula in ways that are both good and bad for both beginners and seasoned Pikmineers. At first, some of these changes were off-putting for a longtime Pikmin fan such as myself. The two most significant simplifications that I've observed in this demo are simplifications to the Pikmin themselves and to the captains. Most of these changes are different and not necessarily detrimental. In some ways, Pikmin 4 seems to be a return to the simplicity of the very first Pikmin game. You can no longer have 100 Pikmin in the field just from the get-go. Rather, you must upgrade your onion with Florlick, which I'm sure Wario would love, in order to have more Pikmin to command. At first, I felt this was too restricting, but I think that this change is accessible for beginners and challenging for veteran players to put their Pikmin skills to the test, or their Dandori skills as the game calls it, but I'll talk about that in a bit. In addition, controlling captains is severely simplified, as there is only one captain to control in this game. Well, technically it's more like 1.5 captains, and by the end of the game, it could probably feel more like 2 or even 2.5 captains. The first captain is, of course, the new playable character, which is customizable, which I feel is a nice addition, but not an entirely necessary one. It's cool to be able to have yourself represented in a Pikmin adventure, but at the same time it does take away a bit from the narrative because the protagonist doesn't have a personality. Being able to customize the main character comes with its flaws and benefits. The other captain, who, as I stated, kind of varies from feeling like half a captain and will probably eventually maybe feel like a full captain or even a captain and a half. And that's, of course, Ochi. Yes, I'm going to address the dog in the room, or the space pup in the Pikmin game. Some people were a bit hesitant about Ochi being added to the game, thinking he was just adorable for the sake of being adorable. But I, as a devoted dog lover, was immediately won over by Ochi. But Ochi is more than just a cute canine companion to travel with. You can use him, in effect, as something of a second captain. He has his limitations, but he also has a lot of new features. To name just a few, he can sniff out scents to search for secrets. He can rush into objects to break them. He can carry you and your Pikmin, which makes traversing with a large squad much less of a pain. And, most importantly of all, he can jump. Now, jumping may not sound like much of a big deal, but it is. Being able to jump somewhat changes the way you explore the world of Pikmin, much like Breath of the Wild, jumping in that game changed the way you explored a Zelda game. There are now some platforming elements in a Pikmin game, which is really cool to see, and certain areas that you have to access using Ochi's jumping ability, as well as his many other abilities. And I said that, jumping is the most important, but actually the most important thing is the fact that all of these abilities can be upgraded. You can upgrade Ochi's abilities and buy really helpful items and gear at the game's hub. The upgrades you gain in this hub, you obtain by trading raw material, which you collect within the areas, and you can also use to build bridges for crossing and walls for climbing. Raw materials are great because they have so many purposes, and they're just another fun collectible to gather with your forces of Pikmin. And the hub in which you do these activities is a concept that fits really well in a Pikmin game. Having a place to relax and upgrade your abilities and even complete side quests. All of these concepts, upgrades, a hub, side quests, none of them are new ideas, but they are ideas that are new to Pikmin, and they fit really, really well, adding so much worthwhile content to games that have sometimes been a bit on the shorter side. And, of course, Pikmin 4 doesn't just add new ideas to Pikmin. It returns to old ideas. Pikmin 4 borrows from the creativity of Pikmin 2 in the form of treasures and caves. You find treasure as you explore the world, including those caves. You need treasures this time around because you require Sparklium to power your ship. So they even incorporated elements from Hey Pikmin. What do you know? But back to caves. Time passes much more slowly in caves. The game says that it passes at 1/6 of the speed of normal time, to be precise. And these caves are the main place to retrieve treasure and rescue castaways, which I'll talk about a bit later. But there are caves that are completely different. Some caves are Dandori challenges. Again, Dandori is the word that this game uses for Pikmin skills, for the ability to organize and utilize all of your Pikmin effectively in order to multitask. In these Dandori challenges, you must face the mysterious leaflings to collect as much treasure as possible within a time limit. I love these Dandori challenges so much because they incorporate side modes from previous Pikmin games, namely the challenge modes and competitive modes, into the main campaign. And that's another old idea that Pikmin 4 has incorporated in a new way. From the taste we've gotten of it in the demo, Pikmin 4 streamlines and simplifies certain elements of Pikmin while simultaneously adding so many excellent elements, both new and old, that fit so organically into the Pikmin experience. Now, before I wrap up, there are a few more topics I want to touch upon. Let me talk about the visuals, the story, and the difficulty. This is a Pikmin game. Of course it looks gorgeous. It looks both realistic and cartoony in a way that I have always loved. Pikmin 4 takes the beauty of Pikmin 3 and increases it quite noticeably. This is a gorgeous game. A Pikmin game looks good. What's new? And then the story. There is a central hub for the game, which is a camp of the Rescue Corps. In this game, Olimar crash lands on the mysterious planet of the Pikmin and sends out a distress signal. The Rescue Corps answers this signal, but they get stranded in the process. And so the game is all about rescuing the other members of the Rescue Corps, rescuing just these random castaways that also respond to Olimar's signal, and eventually probably rescuing Olimar himself, though that's not in the demo, and I expect that'll be later in the game. The game really creates this sense of community that is new to the Pikmin games. These games have always felt atmospherically isolationist. Even when there's 2 or 3 captains, it's just you on this planet, filled with dangerous, hostile wildlife. But now, again, you have this sense of community that is something new to the Pikmin series. And of course, you have some mysteries, intriguing mysteries that I can't wait to learn more about in the game, like the aforementioned leaflings, who appear to be castaways, who have, in essence, been turned into Pikmin. And it seems that Olimar himself has become one of these leaflings. And speaking of Olimar, one last thing to know about the story is that, somewhat disappointingly, it seems to be retconning the previous 3 games. Olimar talks as though this is his first time discovering Pikmin and crash landing on PNF 404. And while this is somewhat disappointing that this game is completely ignoring the previous 3 games in the series, despite being Pikmin 4, it's also interesting because Olimar turns into a leafling, a Pikmin, just like the bad ending of Pikmin. And so it seems that perhaps this might take place in some sort of alternate timeline in which the bad ending of Pikmin or something similar occurs. The story of Pikmin 4 seems to be accessible for beginners, disappointingly just ignoring and retconning the events of the previous 3 games, but at the same time, its new premise and plot elements are intriguing both for newcomers and old players alike. And finally, this is probably one of my sharpest criticisms of Pikmin 4, or at least the demo of Pikmin 4, is the difficulty. Over about 4 hours of playtime and 3 in-game days, I did not lose a single Pikmin. It is worth admitting that I have a lot of experience with Pikmin, and I'm sure it might be a bit harder to newcomers, but nonetheless, Pikmin 4 is seeming to be on the easier side, following in the footsteps of Pikmin 3. That's disappointing. I was hoping for a return to the difficulty of the first 2 games, which I admit was sometimes frustrating, but it was fun. And I am not too happy that Pikmin 4, at least in its first area, is not that hard. Hopefully, it will increase in difficulty as we proceed through the other areas of the game. But this game does seem to be seeking to be accessible for beginners. I'm hoping this game will make many new Pikmin fans. This is the golden opportunity for Pikmin, having a brand new game on a really successful console. It seems that any old series is reinvigorated when it's put on the Switch, and it's about time for Pikmin to get the attention it deserves, because it's a bit of an underappreciated series. And Pikmin 4 will hopefully change that. With Pikmin 4 stepping into the limelight, I'm excited to see what experiences we will have in this new game. From the demo, it seems very much that Pikmin 4 is a game for new players and old players alike. It streamlines and simplifies elements of the Pikmin experience in ways that are usually different, but not detrimental. It introduces ideas that are new to Pikmin and reincorporates old ideas in very interesting and exciting ways. It puts in so many systems that just fit in Pikmin and just give famished Pikmin fans like myself much more to enjoy and feast upon. And all of what we've seen in the demo is merely scratching the surface of what Pikmin 4 has to offer. I'm sure there are so many more upgrades, abilities, enemies, areas, and characters to encounter. This was a rather expansive demo, and it's only offering a small sampling of what there is to encounter this time on PNF 404. Pikmin 4 is looking to be a promising entry in an underappreciated series. It takes some of the simplicity of Pikmin 1, the creativity of Pikmin 2, and the beauty of Pikmin 3, and puts it together in something that is new, and something that uses both new and old ideas in interesting ways. And though it does have several flaws, including a story that is certainly interesting, but disappointing in other ways, and a severe lack of difficulty, Pikmin 4 is a really exciting, interesting, and promising new Pikmin game that we have had to wait an entire decade for. But it seems that, in many ways, the wait will have been worth it, and the wait is almost over. This Pikmin 4 demo has made me even more excited to play this game, even more excited to experience the first new Pikmin experience in 10 years. Hey Pikmin does not count. We're almost there. It's almost time for Pikmin 4. And this demo has prepared first-time Pikmineers and veteran Pikmineers alike for what this experience is going to be like. Pikmin 4 is almost here, and I cannot wait to play it. Thank you so much for listening to me rant on and on about the Pikmin 4 demo. I love Pikmin, and I will take any opportunity I can to rant about the series that is so near and dear to me. Once again, thank you so much for listening. I'm FoffWoodyX of Kiro Tarakai, and Pikmin 4 is so close. So close. Let's just hope it doesn't have any Gatling groinks. Yikes. Scarred me for life.